Young and private jets, taking trips, come back at 6, wake me in your child, and then won't lay today, make me wonder who you might be playing with, makes me wonder who you think.
Hey y'all, how are you guys today? I hope this video finds you well. Welcome back to another video, and this time we're actually having proactive conversations. I want to start by recapping and saying thank you so much for watching the last video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. For my first video, I got a lot of feedback, and I am ever so grateful for everything that I got and received, the love that I got, the support that I got. I even posted a little picture from my photo shoot. I want to thank everybody who liked that picture. It was truly a beautiful picture. Shout out to the photographer Rashad. I am so excited to post the pictures that go along with this video. They're so beautiful. Every picture that I've taken has been so beautiful. Shout out to Danny and Rashad, period. I was so nervous on the last video that everything I said was like a you know what I mean? I really hope that this video gets through without any of that verbal nonsense, all those filler words, and hopefully we can get to the proactive conversations, because I'm really excited to start talking to you guys. Today it's just gonna be me, of course, but hopefully next episode we'll have a very valuable guest here to talk about something that I know this generation needs. Yeah, without further ado, let's get into this video. So this video is going to be a jam-packed video. No extra clips, honey. This video is going to be regarding mental health within this generation. And when I say this generation, I mean anywhere from 18 to maybe 26. There's a lot of things that are very common within this generation, ups and downs, positive and negative. I really do want to touch on a couple things that I've experienced, which everything that I'm going to speak about, I've also experienced and somewhat navigated or navigating through. You know what I mean? So I really do hope you get something from this video, and or we have some type of conversation and or connection from this video. So the first topic is going to be mental development within youth, okay? Mental development within youth consists of, I believe, 5 processes: your cognitive development, social and emotional development, your brain development, environmental development, and your sleep. That is very, depending on your age group, that's very important, your sleep. So when you get to the age to where you're experiencing things and you're getting a little bit more emotional, like middle school and or high school, it's important to start there, really, to start developing that emotional maturity within yourself, because if you do not, you're going to go into your adulthood very unprepared and very shook as to what the world is. Because if the world is real ghetto now, baby, I assure you it's going to be ghetto in about 10 to, and when is November? In a couple months. I was about to say 10 years. Baby, I mean in November. As you guys know, and or should know if you don't know, I am 23 years old. My birthday is, of course, November 25th. And as a 23-year-old, I'm still going through knowing myself, getting to know myself, and more importantly, getting to know my emotions. When I was younger, I wasn't a nonchalant child. I was just a tad bit cold. I was never really in tune with my emotions. I was more of like the sweep it under the rug and then carry on with your business. And that's generally not how you're supposed to carry on, because if you cannot control your emotions, if you cannot be in tune with your emotions, what really can you be in tune with, and or what can you control? And generally within my 20s, I had experienced adulthood faster than I would have liked to. I always felt like I was pushed into adulthood. And with that, I am very grateful to have had those experiences, whether good or bad, because they truly molded me into the woman that I am today. And I do feel as though it is very common for women of my age group, whether that actually, I'm not gonna lie. I do feel like women younger than me, 16, 17, 18, they're going through the experiences that I had when I was 20 and or 21. that's generally not something that you should be going through. And a lot of young women are confused. A lot of young women are battling depression. A lot of young women are battling anxiety due to what they have been experiencing, just because their upbringing was not as satisfactory, and or it was just very traumatic and filled with struggle. But knowing how to navigate your emotions will really benefit you through any difficult experience that you're going through. I can say that now that I am somewhat more in tune with my emotions, not even somewhat, let me toot my own horn. Toot, toot, toot. All right. Me being in tune with my emotions a lot more than when I was 16, 13, or whatever whatever. I'm trying not to curse. So I'm a lot more in tune with my emotions, and that makes me better off to handle hard experiences, whether it's good, bad, or whatever it could be. I am going to try to not look at my phone, but I did write down a lot. I am naturally a writer. A lot of times off the dome doesn't sound as good as to when I'm reading. Throughout my trials and tribulations, I come to the realization that I generally had no control over my emotions. How can I know that there is a problem and not analyze the source, or not even identify the possible solutions of the problem? When something doesn't go your way, you just start having a temper tantrum, whether you're 5, 6, and or 23. You know what I mean? A lot of women, they start to cry or get overwhelmed. I have a couple friends that the sky could start turning dark and they had plans that day. They're gonna lose their rockers. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that serious. First of all, be grateful you're alive. Thank God. All right. A lot of people don't see the bright side. A lot of people let little things get to them, and it could be even a big thing. But if you're in tune with your emotions, you're better off, okay? Because you can handle that, and or you can know what to do in order to handle that better. You get a better outcome when you handle your emotions. You know what I mean? The only way that I got to a point where I could actually identify my emotions, because I'm not gonna lie to you, knowing the words to suit your emotions is so important. Because a lot of times we say, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm just anxious, like the general emotions, but there are millions of words that could actually explain your emotions better than I'm angry. The synonyms to those emotions can better explain, why are you angry? I think I'm angry because I'm jealous. Understanding those words. The only time in which I got to an actual place to where I could confront my emotions and actually somewhat try to get my mental state to a better point was to actually be broken down. I want to say the year 2020 to 2022, those were literally the hardest years of my life. Because, mind you, I jumped off the porch when I was 19. I moved to another state when I was 20. I had no family, no nothing. All I had was a man that really was never good for me. I really shouldn't have been with that man, but it happened. You know what I mean? And I was put through a lot of things unnecessarily because a man could not control his emotions. Clock that T. Anyway. Yeah, so when I started getting closer to analyzing my emotions, it was really when I was getting beat the fuck up. Excuse my language. Clock that. In that time span in which I was going through a lot, it was really hard for me to cope. It was really hard for me to understand why I was going through what I was going through. I was just questioning everything. And again, when you're dealing with a certain type of toxicity, it is very easy to take on those traits yourself. So you're not healing in those situations, you're actually backtracking. You could literally come into a situation and you're well off mentally, you're in a good spot, and you see the light in people, as I did. You see the good in people, but they're not really, I won't say that they're not really good. I'll just say that they're not as equally as yoked as you, If that makes sense, if I even worded that correctly, you know what I mean? So if, personally speaking, when you are a bright person, you are a bright female, a lot of people will see your light and try to steal that, and or try to be a part of it, knowing that they're not worthy. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's personally what happened to me. I engaged with someone that I really didn't get to know as I should have. I was very much infatuated, not in love, with a man, and I let that get the best of me to where my mental state was then at risk. You understand what I'm saying? When you, especially when you're a giver, I'm not gonna lie, when you're a giver, people tend to take advantage. So while I am in this encounter situation with this man, I am slowly being drained. I am slowly being broken down. But I unpopular opinion, which a lot of women who go through things like this, they say this: I'm very grateful to have experienced everything that I have. Yeah, this video ain't even about that. Let's backtrack. They truly say that you really have to be broken down in order to be built back up. And when I got to a certain point of being broken down, that's when I started to really think, where I started to get in tune with my emotions. Oddly enough, the situation in which I was referring to previously, when I was going through a certain amount of toxicity, it's very odd to say, but you start to think that you're the problem. So when you start to think you're the problem, you start to think, what can I do to not be the problem? I found myself trying to mold me to fit him, if you understand what I'm saying. If I was making him mad, no matter what the cause was, I wanted to understand why I was making him mad, so that maybe we could fit together. Like, honestly, I was trying to put the puzzle pieces together, but the pieces didn't fit. Honestly, they should have never fit. You know, you look back on your past and you think like, girl, what was you thinking? Again, I am grateful for that experience. It taught me a lot. I took a lot, and I now know what to say, you know. Anyway, so that means I was molding myself in a way that was way more toxic than needed to be. I wasn't healing. So my emotional development and my mental development went down. Although I can say that with that, my empathy went up. With that, my understanding went up. When you're trying to get on a narcissistic level, it's not a good thing. If there is something mentally wrong with that person, let me be the first to tell you, baby, leave. Let me be the first to tell you, you cannot fix that person. First of all, it is not your job to fix that person. Even though you see the potential, even though you see the light within that person, the closer you get to their light, the farther you get from yours. I was trying to understand why or what was causing him and trying to fix it within myself instead of just letting the man go. I'm going to be honest, it was very hard to let that man go. Not like because I couldn't, but because he wouldn't go. All right. Anyway, so I say all that to say that was a long way to get to where I was trying to be. I was completely broken down, so I tried to break my understanding down. What that did for me was open myself up to other possibilities. Having myself trying to understand gave me the opening to be able to connect with certain things. That is when I started to get closer to God, because when you're going through like difficult things and you've never experienced those things before, it's very easy to ask, why me? It's very easy to ask, what did I do? It's very easy to just question everything. It's very easy to slip into a depression. I couldn't remember times where I'm in the car crying. And like, I'm literally crying on the phone, like, why me? Like, what did I do to deserve any of this? When I say, baby, I was broken down. Whew, I was broken down. But again, trying to understand elevated my ability to get out. Honestly, that is a very good example of you cannot have a testimony without having a test. You cannot experience anything and or want to reach high, but you cannot overcome the difficulties when you're low. You can't have a testimony without a test. Literally, it's in the word books. It's in the word. The next topic that we're going to discuss is overcoming your obstacles. All right. I had a conversation with my dad once, and this is by far the only conversation that has ever, when I say ever, stuck with me so much to where like I kind of live by it daily. Not even just from, literally from anybody. I was having a conversation with my dad, and I don't even think we were talking about myself. I think we were speaking on something with him. And he vocalized that he doesn't stress over things because he knows in the end it's going to get figured out. Now, something that my dad didn't know was that I was going through a lot in that situation, and also financially, in every aspect, really. Mind you, I discussed, or I communicated that I moved to Houston when I was either 19 or 20 on my own with no family, and really not a stable job. So it was really hard for me to provide for myself. Essentially, I was providing for the man that I was with as well. You know, it's very hard. It's very hard. And in Houston, I don't know where you are in the world, but in Houston, it's not cheap, literally. But I got by. So what my dad didn't know is that I was literally struggling, or he could have, but I never asked for help, except I think like 1 or 2 times. It's always been very hard for me to ask for help because I always, like, hyper independence. That's something that's deep rooted within me, baby. But I was going through a lot, really. I honestly and truly was. And when my dad said that, it kind of struck a chord within me, like, girl, why are you stressing? You really got to think about it. Like, everything that you're going through or went through, it has gotten figured out. Maybe not within the time that I wanted it, not how I wanted it, and not by who I wanted it, whether it was myself or someone else, or someone helped me, because like I said, hyper independence. But at the end of the day, it always got figured out. Why am I going to exert my energy? Why am I exerting my energy? Because it's going to get figured out one way or another. I mean, if I have to think about it, okay, I will. If I got to figure out a way to pay these bills, I will. There's no point in me overexerting my energy for something that's already going to get figured out. No matter if I know the solution or not, God does, and or God did. You understand what I'm saying? Look back to a time in your life where you were really, truly, honestly struggling. Did it in the end get handled? It did. Maybe not in that time period. Maybe not when you wanted to, how you wanted to, where you wanted to, whatever. But it did get figured out. After hearing that from my father, it was really easy for me to just kind of go with the flow with things. I started to kind of mentally develop, but not at the level that I'm at right now. Emotionally speaking, I would try to get to the root of things. I don't think that you can really comprehend how you're feeling until you know why you're feeling that. Why you're feeling it, when I say that, I mean, I don't like when he comes home late. Why do I say that? It makes me feel uneasy. It makes me feel insecure. It makes me feel panicked. Why does it make me feel that way? Because I watched my dad come home late, and I always knew what he was doing. And I watched my mom struggle with that. This is not me, by the way. This is not me. I'm just breaking it down as to how I would think about it. Honestly, that route of thinking about your emotions, I'm sorry if you don't know what this is. Clock it. Clock it, baby. All right. That route of thinking about things, it really set me up for the better, because emotional maturity. Just like that, emotional maturity. And generally, that's how I would overcome obstacles. I would have to get through the root of things. Getting to the root, understanding my emotions, analyzing, coming up with a solution, and also not stressing, because you're not gonna get anywhere. You literally can't see the fog through tears. If you're literally hysterical, you cannot think straight. So there's no reason as to why you should be overexerting your energy for something that at the end of the day, it's going to get solved. The next topic that we're going to talk about, and mind you, all of these topics go hand in hand. The next topic that we're going to talk about is calling out your traumas. Be direct. Your trauma is the demon underneath your bed, the monster, if that makes you feel better, underneath your bed. Put that flashlight on it. Because at the end of the day, that's the only way that you're going to identify what it is. That we're going to talk about is calling out your traumas. There's no way to get over things or actually heal if you don't understand your traumas. If you don't understand your triggers. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I did not understand the word trigger until 2023, when I was actually triggered. When I actually realized that I was triggered. Mind you, I did not start emotionally developing until I was about 21, 22. I'm 23. What a cute crickets. So, with overcoming your obstacles, you have to know the issue. We are the way we are due to our lives. Usually it can go back to our upbringing. For me personally, I realized a couple of years ago that I had issues with men. And I feel like a lot of women my age do, maybe in a different sense that I'm speaking about. But I did have issues with men in the sense of I never saw the value in a man, and I lacked respect for men. In some way, shape, or form, I still do. And hopefully after I explain this, you understand why I say this. I was raised primarily in a two-parent household with my mom and her wife. Although things weren't perfect in both households, my dad's and my mom's, I still had all three parents. I had all four, to be real. I had four parents, 3 moms and 1 dad. A lot of people can't say that. So I am very blessed to have had that. And I'm extremely grateful for everybody that have played a part in my life. You understand what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't be me without them. Clagazzi. All right. When I say that I was raised in a two-parent household, I mean my mom. Well, my moms. I always had my dad. My dad was literally just a phone call away. But because we were in different states, in a physical sense, it placed a huge roadblock on how I was able to kind of connect with my father. And also because of his own development, it's probably easier for a father to have a son. You know what I mean? But in a lot of ways, emotionally speaking, it's probably more difficult for a man to have a daughter if they are not emotionally ready for that. So it kind of molded a lot growing up. I saw women do it all. I didn't really have that much of a male figure within my life. I was taught how to ride a bike from a woman. I was taught how to drive a car from a woman. I was taught the things that daddy's girls should learn from their father. I learned from a woman. So generally speaking, I have a lot more respect for women. And of course, things occurred in my childhood that obviously everybody gonna have ups and downs with their parents. Nobody is perfect. And I do want to take the time out to say that whether you can understand or have some type of empathy for them, your parents are people too. They have their own emotions. They have their own backstory. They have their own bio. You may not understand your parents and what they went through, but I assure you, every parent do the best with what they got and what they had. They do the best that they can. You know what I mean? God damn it. Anyway, yeah, so things may not have been perfect on either side, but because I saw women do it all, I lacked respect for men. I didn't really see the value of a man because I'm literally seeing a woman do it all. So what are you really good for, sir? And I'm not saying that in anything, like, I'm not saying that to my father. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Yeah, so growing up, that really caused a mental fog between me. And I'm not even saying growing up, in my teenage years and coming of adults. Men were just men. I don't know. Because of the lack of respect and or not being able to see a man's value due to the distance and not having a male figure present, like physically present, it caused a lot of roadblock in my relationships. Not to mention the main relationship that I had during that time period, like a couple years ago, it was not a healthy one. So you could probably see how that generally mentally caused a lot up here. If you understand what I'm saying, experiencing domestic violence, domestic violence is physical abuse, mental abuse, like dealing with a narcissist who also don't know how to, control his anger, punching walls, holes, maybe chasing you down the street, dragging you through alleyways, like slight stuff like that. I'm also one of those people that jokes about trauma. It's a coping mechanism. Don't do too much, Bookie. Don't do too much. You could honestly see how that would not set up a relationship, a healthy relationship for the best. Understand the root of your trauma, because obviously it will manifest in your adulthood, and it is so important to understand your feelings so that you can get that stuff at the root, nip it in the bud. All right. Honestly, I was not made too much aware. Like I knew that I didn't really have that much respect for men, but I wasn't really made aware until my relationship with Bubba. Back in 2022, I was actually made aware of how I was making him feel. Do you know? Could you understand how bad I felt? Like, that is really an eye-opener for your significant other to have to tell you to tell you about yourself. For your significant other to tell you about yourself, and it's causing them pain. Woo! So yeah, call out your traumas. Understand where that came from, how this is occurring, how this is manifesting, because how it's manifesting can also tell you a lot about what needs to be confronted. I obviously had to confront a lot of things within myself dealing with my father in order to have a healthier relationship with the man that I love. You get nowhere by not addressing your pain. You get nowhere by hiding under rocks. All right? Another thing that I do want to vocalize is when you're calling out your traumas, when you're being real with yourself, ask yourself open-ended questions. The answer to your questions should not be, I don't know. Figure it out. You're going to have to anyway. It's better to be in your 20s figuring it out than in your 40s. It'll probably set you up for so much more success. Understand the issue. Why is it happening? How do I feel when it's happening? What did that trigger? When did that issue start? When did I start being triggered? I felt what in that moment, and the result caused what? So you was angry, so you slapped that man. I wonder why. What did you see in your past that you thought that it was okay to put your hands on that person because you was angry? How can I fix the issue? What can make me feel better? And those last two, what can make me feel better and how can I fix the issue? That is a good way to know what your actions should be. If you don't know what can make you feel better, there's no reason as to why somebody else should be paying the price for your emotions. If you don't even know how to deal with your insecurities, why are you going off on a man? Like, be so for real. If you can't even identify what the issue is and why that person is making you feel some type of way, why are you going off? Just shut up. You don't even know. Literally. No, like for real, literally. Anyway, so the next topic that we're going to discuss is cognitive behavior. Now, this one, I don't know why, but lately my word has been cognitive. Stay cognitive. Now let's be cognitive. I love that word. It's just so T. It's just like, it fits. You know what I mean? Like, I love it. It's really T. Now, cognitive behavior is based on the idea that how you think in situations can affect the way we feel and behave. So basically, if you think that your mama don't love you, you're always gonna do things to beg for her acceptance. Do you understand those examples? Was it T? Did it catch something for you? I hope not. I really did. Now, cognitive behavior. Like I said previously, like I've said several times, I am 23. I am trying to learn my place. I'm trying to learn myself. I'm trying to be better, simply. I know that I am, number one, destined for great things. I don't know what that is, but I have the mind, the tenacity, and the soul for great things. So best believe I'm gonna get it, all right? I know that I can get there, but the things that I'm doing currently in life are not conducive to getting there. The things that I'm doing right now, currently in life, are not gonna help the woman that I want to be, right? So that means I have to change who I hang out with. I have to change what I watch. I have to change literally everything. I have to literally change everything. Lately, I've been getting closer to God. And I do want to speak about that in depth in a whole completely separate video, because he literally deserves a whole separate video on his own. When I say that I've been getting closer with God, I've been going to church more consistently, trying to understand the word, using that as an opportunity to just breathe the same air and be in the same environment and try to change how I think and how I start my week, to be real. I've been trying to change my environment, get closer to God, get in my Bible. And with that, that means obviously I have to stop watching some things, stop engaging with some people, stop being friends with some people. I have to limit how much I go out. You know what I mean? Like, even though I am in my 20s, I do want to be young and turnt. What is young and turnt right now if I can't be young, free, turnt in my 30s and 40s? You get what I mean? So, cognitive behavior. Your environment molds you. You are what you think. You think what you see. You repeat what you hear, right? So that just means discipline, all right? With cognitive behavior, that means molding yourself and instilling discipline. Discipline is important. But a lot of times with people within my age group, it is very easy to just go with the flow or do it for the plot. We lack discipline. Let's be real. Our generation, from 19 years old to about 25, we lack discipline. It don't matter what type of discipline, but it definitely is lacking. I can say that we are a lot more aware than the last generation, because, you know, older people love to be stuck in their ways. for them, because speaking out and being aware of yourself and your actions was not really much of a thing, it's very easy for them to stay stuck in their ways and not really be cognitive of their behavior. So that allows excuses. Now we're in 2024 in this generation. This is the truth according to Cat Williams. This is the truth telling year, right? That's why a lot of stuff back then is coming out now, because back then it was okay to be silent. It was okay to be complicit and comfortable within how you are. It was okay to be mentally ill. Not now. Not now. Actually be aware and fix yourself. The older generation is okay with being complicit in mental deficiency. Now, within our generation, we are more mentally aware, but physically, we're still comfortable in sitting in toxicity. Like literally, our generation idolizes toxicity. So yeah, molding yourself, cognitive behavior, molding yourself, and and discipline importance. With cognitive behavior, being aware of who you are around, what you're saying, what you're watching, what you're hearing, obviously that plays into a part with molding yourself. Yeah, as long as you stay cognitive of your behavior, obviously, where you are, who you're interacting with, what you're doing, what you're seeing, what you're eating, like all of that stuff, that also plays a part into a lot of things that, you know, could mold you into who you are. Staying cognitive of that will really shape you within your young adulthood, because man, I'm going through it. I really am. And discipline is also something that I struggled with. I still do, really. Procrastination. Okay, I need to be more strict on when I'm gonna hit these timelines, because if I allow myself to, maybe I will do it at the last possible minute. It's gonna get done, but if it's due at 12, I might start doing it at 11:30. Hey, I'm trying. You understand what I'm saying? Now, with all the topics that we have touched over today, I really hope that it was a little bit informatory. It maybe showed you some things about myself. Maybe it showed you some things about yourself. Maybe you could have, hopefully you got something out of it that was conducive to your mental development, especially if you're within the age group that I'm in. Because even though I'm talking about these topics, I assure you, I have not mastered all of them. Because at the end of the day, even when you're healing, it's not, you're never done healing. There will always be triggers. A big way to know if you have overcome certain obstacles, when a situation that triggers you comes up, how do you handle that differently than you would have before? If you didn't handle it any differently, we still have some work to do, and that's okay, because we have our whole lives ahead of us to learn ourselves in this thing we call life, literally. So yeah, I do want to emphasize that even though I'm speaking about them, I have not mastered these things. I still need to work on my discipline. I still need to become stern in my cognitive behaviors. You know what I mean? I still need to overcome some obstacles. I still need to face some of my traumas head on. Hopefully, we could relate. We can get into it, you know. Something that I do want to implement within my channel with the proactive conversationalists. I want to let you know the definition of proactive. The meaning of proactive is acting in anticipation of future problem, needs, or changes. So what does that mean? If we are done having a conversation, what actions are you doing following that conversation? You know what I mean? How will you be proactive in the subjects and or topics that we have discussed? How are you going to face your traumas head on? How are you going to overcome your biggest obstacles? How are you going to instill discipline? How are you mentally developing within your youth? You know, like those type of questions. But obviously, like I said before, I'm so grateful for every experience, no matter good, bad, positive, negative. It does not matter, because at the end of the day, it molded me to be the person that I am sitting in front of you. I'm very grateful. So hopefully those questions stick with you, and at the end of every video, we can ask ourselves, how are we going to be proactive in the things that we just discussed? How are we going to be proactive, or what are we going to be proactive in? It doesn't even have to be things that we just discussed. Like if you want to go ride a bike more, if you're going to read more, that's something that I actually want to be proactive in. I want to actually start reading more, because when I was younger, I couldn't put a book down. Now, that might have been because I got my phone taken, but that is neither here nor there, all right? Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I really honestly truly appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this. This is technically our first conversation. I'm so grateful. Click that like button, subscribe, and of course follow me on Instagram at QUERRINA to see me behind the scenes and everything else. Have a good day now, y'all. Be blessed,